Next is JKS bleaching powder that retails for $16.25 for a 17.7 ounce container. Now what makes this lightener really unique is that not only can it give you up to 9 levels of lift, but it's truly dust free, so we'll see about that, and it guarantees excellent results. Now some key features and benefits of this lightener is that it neutralizes pale yellow tones, it requires less developer than other bleach lighteners, leaves the hair in excellent condition, it's truly dust free, and it's hairdresser friendly. Not quite sure what that means, but let's find out. Now let's go ahead and take a look inside this box. So we got a little scooper and we got this bag. So I'm thinking they just like want to be green and maybe have you put it in your own container, which actually I'm not mad about because I end up putting it in my own container anyways, to be completely honest. I can like smell it from, I'm like probably about a foot away from it. I can't put my finger on what it smells like, but I'm getting like a little bit of Play-Doh smell. So you can think of sweet Play-Doh. That's exactly what it smells like to me. But definitely a little strong. So let's go ahead and get this in the bowl so we can do the dust test. So let's go ahead and scoop this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a level scoop just so we can really kind of see here. Definitely like on the low end of dust. I can't say it's truly dust free, but definitely some dust going on, but on the low side. Still pretty low. I mean, considering I'm like doing it from here, it's pretty low. Now this one is kind of interesting though, before I actually mix it up. It literally is like the finest type of sand you can imagine. So if it looks really soft, like I honestly want it to play with it, make little designs out of it because it's so nice. Because this one has a really interesting mixing ratio, much like the Moonlight's lightener, you're going to need to measure this one also by volume. So that's why it does come with a scooper, and we're going to want to do a level scoop and then also a level scoop of our dedicated developer to go with it. So that way we can get the most accurate mixing ratio possible. So just to clarify, this is going to ask you to do 25 milliliters of your powder to 35 to 45 milliliters of your dedicated developer. And milliliters do not convert to grams because milliliters is all about volume, measuring by what can fit inside of this scooper, versus grams is measured by the actual weight. So that's why you really want to pay attention to these types of different lighteners when you are mixing them to make sure you get the best and most accurate results possible. So I'm going to do one level scoop of my powder. And this is giving me about 27 grams of my powder. And now I'm going to measure my 20 volume developer. So you can see how really thick and creamy this is. And I'm going to go ahead and dispense that. So we've got a total of 56 grams total of product combined. Now, something that I thought was really interesting about this powder lightener is that it has a chart based on the amount of lift that you want would go with a corresponding developer choice. So for example, if you wanted 6 or more levels of lift, they highly recommend that you use the 20 volume developer and that you process for the full processing time with that dedicated developer at 45 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and mix this up. I don't know how to feel about this one. It kind of almost feels very fibrous. It's like sticking to itself and it's really freaking thick. So I don't know if I need to mix up some more developer in this. I almost feel like I do. This literally feels like a crazy paste. Like, it's definitely, if you want accurate precision, this will give it to you, but it's almost too thick. So I'm gonna add in just like the tiniest bit because maybe for some crazy reason I just didn't measure this correctly. Maybe I just needed that extra drop. I just need to get it to move just a little bit here for me. But already off the bat, I'm just like not really loving how thick this is, like too thick for me. I really wish there was a way we could measure like grams or ounces or something instead of milliliters with this one. So let's go ahead and do the brush test, even though I don't even think we need the brush test. So this is probably, like I said, it's kind of fibrous. It's definitely really thick, but I feel like because of it, I can't get like a smooth, like rounded grab of this lightener. I can't quite explain it. It's just too thick for me, but let's go ahead and get this on because maybe it'll surprise me. And this definitely still also feels like almost too thick. You know, precision wise, I mean, if I needed to put bleach lightener in just one spot, this would probably be it. But I think the other part is knowing the swell factor for this. It does feel like the thickest cream you can possibly think of, but I'm just like not in love with how this is spreading at all. And I think for that reason, like I just don't feel like I can get the best saturation possible. Like it's not gonna seep through. And I mean, I don't know if the camera is gonna be able to get this, but you can literally see my brush strokes. That's how thick this thing is. And I'm kind of using quite a bit here. And this did claim that it doesn't need as much developer, but I'm feeling like you probably kind of need it. Literally looks like tire marks on my swatch from the brush. Like that's how thick. This is like hands down the thickest lightener I've ever used or tried. So if you're a JKS bleach lightener user and you have any advice for how I'm supposed to be mixing this up, mixing ratios, anything at all, please let me know down below in the comments. And now we wait. Now that it's been 45 minutes, we're gonna check out the swell factor here. And to be completely honest, I don't see too much of swell, very minimal to be honest. So that is a plus for this lightener so far. Now in the foil is a little bit of a different story. I do feel a little bit of swelling action going on, lots of puffy puff. So maybe it's just, you know, overall a reaction that we've seen throughout this entire day and video is maybe there's a reaction with the foil lightener or maybe the temperature of our room today. But let's go and take a little peek of what's inside. Looks like we got like a pretty good lift going on here. But just like any blue lightener, it's probably gonna play a trick on our eye. It doesn't feel super hydrated, but it also doesn't feel really dry. But I'm excited to rinse this one off and see what it looks like. Now that JKS is shampooed and dried, this one actually surprised me. I'm kind of thinking that JKS stands for Just Kidding Stylist because the mixing ratio and the viscosity just kind of really got me, but I'm kind of surprised by this lift. It looks pretty light. I'm kind of almost thinking we might have gotten a solid level 8, but we'll definitely size it up to the level finder in just a second. Now, the other thing that really surprised me was the integrity. It does feel pretty nice on the hair. So for that reason, I think this, you know, is something that you might want to consider. Just that mixing ratio for me was a kind of a negative for me. However, let's go ahead and put this up to the level finder and see where it lies. Now, right off the bat, I know this definitely is not a 7. However, it's not quite an 8 either. It's almost an 8. It's just kissing that level 8. I want to give it an 8 so bad. And I do think that if I push this one a little bit more, it definitely can get there. However, I'm going to grade this one at a 7.75, like literally almost there. So if you're trying to enhance warmth, this might be a great lightener for you. Now, side by side next to this level 2 swatch, we got an amazing lift out of this, and the integrity does feel really great. Now, some of the negatives for this for me was definitely the viscosity. I personally just did not like how it mixed up in the bowl. I even had to add in a little bit more developer just so I could work my brush through it, and I just felt like it was so pasty. It almost felt like I was putting spackle on a piece of hair. Now, as far as the swell factor though, we got minimal swelling, so that definitely was a benefit. And when it comes to the versatility on it, I just really felt like the mixing ratio was a little too confusing for me, and I just felt like based on how I was applying it and what I was able to achieve with the saturation, I was a little limited. So for that reason, even though we got a really great lift, I'm not sure I would want to use this lightener again. If you like this video and want to watch another one, click here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here. And for more education, head on over to morellamanelli.com or hairbnbuniversity.com.